Hi friends, I'm Dr. Dharmesh Kapadia. I'm clinical embryologist and I welcome you all to Zygon Academy of Training in Clinical Embryology. We have planned to start a series of lectures for embryology as well as andrology for all the newcomers and our previous students who have been trained at our place. Now let me talk about basics of semen analysis today. Next slide. Semen analysis is one of the very important investigation for any infertile couple. Before we go for the semen analysis, there are few tests which is to be done with the male partner, that is HIV, HbSAg, VDRL, HCV. Now, what is basically semen? It is mixture of sperms and secretions from the testis and epididymis, and which at the time of ejaculation is combined with the secretions from bulbourethral glands, seminal vesicles, and that's how the semen is formed. Next please. So whenever a doctor or a clinician is asking for the semen analysis, he has to keep few things in his mind. First, the abstinence period for the patient should not be more than 2 to 7 days, because if the abstinence day is too less, then the count might be low, and if the abstinence days are more, then the quality of the semen might not be the optimum. While producing the semen sample, the person or the male partner should not be using any sort of lubricant, because usually they are spermicidal. While collecting the semen sample, it has to be collected in the clean wide mouth container, so to avoid the spillage, any sort of spillage should be avoided. There are few patients who will ask you that, okay, it's difficult for me to get the semen sample at your place, and they want to collect the sample at their place, at their home, and they want to come to clinic. In such scenario, you have to tell them that once the semen is collected, within 45 minutes to 1 hour, he should be reaching to the lab. And the most important thing in any busy IVF center is the identification. Name, date, time of collection, etc. should be properly marked, because in a busy IVF center, a lot of semen sample at a go must be there. Some will be for analysis, some will be for freezing, some will be for morphology testing, some will be for DNA fragmentation, some will be for therapeutic purpose for the same day ICSI. So the identification of semen or this container is very important. Next. Okay, whenever the semen is ejaculated, it is in a liquid form. Once it is ejaculated, it becomes coagulum, and again after 15 to 20 minutes it liquefies, and this is the time it is called liquefaction time. So once the semen sample is there, you have to wait for 15 to 20 minutes minimum before you start having examination. Okay, so if it is liquefied properly, then fine, you can proceed with the next step. If it is not, you can use the 3 ml white bore pipette and do repeated pipetting. If it's not working, then again you have to add equal amount of media to the semen, mix it properly. Okay, but in this case you have to keep it in mind that you have diluted the semen, so whatever your concentration comes, you have to multiply it by 2. Second thing is appearance. The opacity of the semen sample, it is directly related to the sperm concentration, and usually the volume is more than 2 ml. Next please. Viscosity. Once the semen is liquefied, then with 3 ml white bore pipette, you have to aspirate it in the pipette and allow it to come drop by drop. If it makes more than 2 cm of thread, it is suggestive of abnormal viscosity, and most probably the chances of prostatic infection or any sort of infection in the male reproductive system is that. pH is usually alkaline, it is 7.2 or more. Next please. Now once macroscopic examination is over, then we have to move towards microscopic examination. What it all includes is concentration, motility, agglutination, biochemical analysis, other cellular elements, and morphology. Now concentration. So checking the number, how many sperms are there. Macular, Newbar, a lot of other chambers also can be used, but most commonly used is macular chamber. Next. So in a macular chamber, when you put a small drop and you put a grid on that, and when you see under a microscope, what you see a huge big square, okay, that is having 10 columns and 10 rows. So there are 100 small squares. So what is the number of sperms? So you have to count 1, 2, 3 all together. Whatever the number of sperms in 10 small squares, that is the count. So if you see, there is 50 sperms here, there are 20, 7, 30. So which column you will consider? So in that case, or usually in all the cases, you have to take it average by counting few rows, few column and take an average. So next slide please. So if the total spermatozoa are 50, then the count of that patient is 50 million per ml. For that, the prerequisite concentration should be homogeneous. What is the normal range? The normal range is 15 million to 100, 120 million. If it is less than 15 million, that is the cutoff by WHO. So if it is 5 to 15 million, it is called mild to moderate oligospermia. If it is less than 5 million, it is called severe oligospermia. And very important, a lot of times you won't be able to find sperms. So on a first analysis, straight away you cannot stamp it as azoospermia. When no sperms are found in 2 to 3 semen analysis of the same patient 3 to 4 days apart, even you have to prepare a palette and check the sperms in the palette. So if you don't find any sperm in the palette also 2 to 3 times 3 to 4 days apart, then this patient is to be stamped as azoospermia. Next slide please. Now motility, it is one of the most important marker for fertility. There is progressive motility and non-progressive motility. So all those sperms which are progressive, in that the forward progressive motility is the best. They are the best sperms, or they are the sperms which usually fertilize the oocyte in a natural conception. The second is non-progressive sperm. They are moving, but they are not linear. They are moving here, there. They are not traveling a lot. The third is immotile sperm. Usually it is, just by have a look, it is difficult to differentiate whether they are immotile or they are dead. For that, HOS test and other tests are to be done. Next please. Okay, so there is a reference value for motility. If it is between 40 to 50% or more than that, then it is fine. If it is less than that, if the motility is less than the reference value, it is called asthenospermia. Next please. Agglutination. When a lot of time we see a semen sample on the slide, in the microscope, we see a lot of sperms are attached with each other. Sometimes they are head to head attached, sometimes they are abnormally attached, sometimes they are attached by tail to tail. This is suggestive of agglutination and some sort of immunological problem in this patient. Next please. You can see here, I know it's not very clear picture, but these are the ways, the clumps you can see in the slide. Next please. Next please. Biochemical analysis. Again, this is of very important. Why? Because fructose analysis we do in biochemical analysis. Now, in azoospermia patients, fructose analysis makes a lot of difference. How it differentiates between obstructive and non-obstructive. When no sperms are there and no fructose is present, that means the sperms are not able to come out because there is some sort of blockage. That means it is obstructive azoospermia. And when the sperms are not coming in the semen sample, but the fructose is present, that means the tract is patent. So the problem is with somewhere in the testes. So these are the patients called with non-obstructive azoospermia. Other cellular elements, again very important. You can see a lot of epithelial cells, immature sperm cells, leukocytes, they look round cells. So if the total amount of this round cell exceeds 5 million per ml, you have to consider some way that this patient is having infection and this patient can be treated with antibiotics. Next please. Morphology, very important tool for all of the embryologists, because while we are doing ICSI, it is our responsibility to find out the best genetically normal sperm, near at least morphologically normal sperm, so we can assume that it might have good genetics, though it doesn't 100% correlate that way. If you look at the morphology, you can see this is head, here it is tail, sorry, it's a mid piece and then it's a tail. Now head contains the head part where there is DNA material. Above that, that is acrosomal cap, which covers around 40 to 60% of the head. Just below the head there is midpiece. There is a sheath of mitochondria that is for the energy. And the tail, that is for the forward progressive motility of the sperm. Between head and midpiece, there is a place called neck where a centriole is there, and that is very important for activation of the egg when the sperm fertilizes the oocyte. Next please. So when the morphology is less than the reference value. Now if out of 100 sperms we check and only 4 sperms are good, 4 or more are good, then it is called normal morphology. If less than 4% of the sperms are morphologically normal, then it is called teratozoospermia. Now in a lot of patients, not a lot of patients, but there are few patients, you will see absence acrosome. So the head is round, there is no acrosome. These are the patients which are called globozoospermia, and we have encountered few of such patients for IVF, and the fertilization rate, the embryo quality, everything is bad, and altogether a bad prognosis for these patients. Next please. Next please. Okay, so once you stain the sperm, what you see? You see various abnormalities. Here we can see the abnormality of the head, tapered head, the head of the shape is pyriform, here round head. Again you can see the different head. Okay, one of the most important abnormality which we day in day out see is vacuoles. A lot of vacuoles on the head area, and that is suggestive of some sort of genetic abnormality in that sperm. Then comes the neck. See, the neck has to be attached with the head tangentially. So if it hasn't attached by 90 degree, here again it's a short one, here again you can see it's a split one. So these are bad one. Now tail, sometimes it is short, here it is bent. If you see here it is coiled, here it is split. These are all the bad sperms. Next please. Okay, so sperm preparation for IUI, we are planning to take it in the next lecture, because we don't want to overload with a lot of knowledge. This is just the start, it's very basics. A lot of part of the semen analysis is not being covered, like details in morphology, the DNA fragmentation and whatnot. But I would like to take it step by step. So thank you for your patience listening, and I would request all of you to share this video, and if you have liked it or if you have gained knowledge from this video, please let us know. And again, thank you. Good day.